Hi everyone. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Hi Mark. Thanks for being here. Nice to see you. Welcome back. Um, so once again, we're talking about Jack and Lily today. We're going to go over some updates. To me, heartbreaking updates because it just makes me wonder what what the poor kids Jack and Lily were living with, and what they were living like, and it just breaks my heart, to be honest with you, which I'm sure I'm not the only one. You can see below their picture there, Jack and Lily Sullivan, the contact numbers if you have any information. One of those numbers is if you want to remain anonymous. Excuse me, with your information. Hi, Kimmer. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Um, so, what we're going to do, first of all, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you wish. Um, and I just, just to lighten the mood a little bit for anybody that watches Dolly or doesn't watch Dolly Vision. I was watching him this morning and I had to laugh because he said he was joking. He said, uh, for all of those that didn't like his video and they're just sitting there watching, he said, I'm going to do the same thing. So then he just sat there right quiet, staring at the screen. I swear it was like for a minute or two, and I laughed. He can be so funny. And it does lighten the mood because these are heavy topics, of course. Yeah. Um, so just uh, a little bit of housekeeping. Kimmer, on my last live I did when I went back to see if I had to do any editing, I noticed I made a boo-boo. You had said about the sweaters, hopefully they weren't on the kids or with the kids, and I thought that had said I hope they're not the kids. So my apologies on that. I just want to make a correction. And another correction, I had stated that Belinda, and I had stated this when I was on Sunny's live too, it's a crime and shame, and I just want to correct it because it's very important to be correct in the things you're saying. So if I ever find an error or someone brings it to my attention, don't ever be afraid to bring an error to my attention because I like to correct things. Um, but I had stated that Daniel showed her the phone calls on the phone, but it was actually he told her that Malaya had made the phone calls, not that he showed her. But yeah, I heard a little bit about this backpedaling, but I'm not totally up on it. So if you guys want to fill me in as to where that's coming from and what she's saying, because I haven't found anything on it unless it's on the Facebook. I don't go on the Facebook. Um, anyway, so I just wanted to make that correction too about Belinda because it's important, and I mean it's something she's saying, and I don't want to misstate something she's saying as well. But my thoughts remain the same on it. That it has to do with this 6:15 time frame that Malaya had to go out to the end of the driveway to use the phone. So either way, the thought remains the same, just that he told her, didn't show her. Just one second, guys. I have to uh check a message here. It's my husband, and he might be asking me if I want him to order supper. We were going to do that yesterday and it ended up. Oh, no, he's saying another long day today, so I guess we're not having Chinese again today. That's all right. Maybe tomorrow. Um, yeah, so just remember, guys, this is about Jack and Lily Sullivan and about finding the truth. Um, you know, hopefully they're located, and at this point myself, and I'm sure many others, and especially with the new information that had come out, um, Dolly took a poll in his chat that he had did, and he's got a huge audience, and, the poll was um, in favor of the fact that the kids are most likely not with us. So, at this point, I just wish for them to be located. Um, you know, you know what I'm saying, and especially for the sake of the family members, you think of um, Belinda and Malaya as well, because I do feel that Daniel had more to do with this than her, and not that she's innocent by any means. I saw it in another chat, but I didn't hear the story. Yeah, I think I seen it somewhere too, where I heard this morning when I was listening to some of the shows, somebody say that she's backpedaling, but I'm not quite sure where it's coming from. Hi, Mama Angie. Thanks for being here. Scooter Mama. Hi. Thanks for being here. Um, Thanks for coming back, everybody, and thanks to anyone that's new here. Um, it certainly sounds very bad, that's for sure. It does. It does sound bad. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna listen to that video, of course. Um, And I wanna listen to it without me saying anything in case you guys haven't heard it yet, or in case anybody on replay hasn't heard it yet, so I'll do it uninterrupted. And, of course, shout out to Hidden in the Fog. Now, this channel, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to. She's doing very good work, in my opinion. And it's the same lady, her name is Susan, from the TikTok videos. She has made a YouTube channel, and the reason why I'm saying that is when you read the comments, people are actually saying her name in the comments, that it's good to see her on YouTube. And then she said, yeah, but I'm trying to figure it out, and she's not used to the YouTube because she typically does TikTok. So when you read the comments, the assumption is that this is actually her channel too, which would make sense because people are copying her videos from TikTok and putting them out on YouTube. So she may as well just do her own channel. Um, Mama Angie, Haley is saying now that she never said any rugs were used, and we just have to be careful with the words we use. I'm not monetized, so it probably doesn't make a difference if you guys do that, so don't worry about it. But I like to try to practice the proper words myself, to follow the YouTube rules. So I'm just gonna call them. Apparently, it looks like Skittles. I don't know anything about this stuff, guys, except education wise, what it can do to you, and what addiction itself, behaviors and stuff. I did do a clinical, being a nurse, when you do your clinicals, you have to go to, you go around and you go to different places to give you a little dabble here and there of different things. It wasn't my area that I knew I would ever want to work in because I don't deal well with manipulation and BS. And when you don't deal well with that stuff, you have to make that decision that this is not an area that would be good for me, because there's a lot of that related to addiction. And so although I had clinicals in it, it just wasn't, I knew it wasn't going to be an area for me. But we're going to go over a couple of things that I did look up regarding Skittles. And I heard that on Dolly's. So this is all learning for me. I don't know a lot about this stuff except that it's bad in Pictou County. Drugs have always been an issue, or rugs, sorry, have always been addiction has always been an issue in Pictou County. I mean, for a small area, it's bad. And I mean, weekly, constantly, there's always busts being made. They ended up coming up with a big, and well-trained, on the Glasgow police force, a force to deal with it, and it's bad. Um, Mama Angie, she was in Facebook group. Okay, yeah, see, I don't check that stuff. I am on a couple of groups, but I don't even really look at the messages and stuff. I'm like Sunny, I'm really not a big Facebook person, and I have to admit I'm terrible with my phone too. I'm still kinda old school, like, if we still had a phone hanging on the wall that you put your finger in and do the tick, 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 the dial, I'd be fine with that. I don't like a lot of interruption and, just the technology of today where it almost kinda controls your life, so I'm kinda like Sunny. She was in the Facebook group chat shortly after Sunny played the live, and Darewood told her, "Keep talking, Haley, I dare you." Oh, well, that's nice. That's really nice. That's not right. In my opinion, I mean, he's the one saying that people are making threats to him and his family, and she has all the right to talk, just as he does. See, that stuff bothers me, and that's why I talked to my other one of my other videos. And again, not saying that Sunny or Dolly are doing they're not doing anything wrong because they're giving folks a place to speak, and that's what you want, because everybody's hearing it. But I mean, he shouldn't be speaking, first of all, to a woman in that way. And, we could say the same thing to him, no, there's no need of that. Uh, I think she did say it. I think she did say it though, Mama, in the video. Um, She absolutely said it. People were calling her out on it. Oh, she did say it. She said rugs and she said M-E-T-H Skittles because I put my earplugs in and I have really good ones, expensive ones. My husband bought me for my birthday. And I put them in and I played that over and over and over to make sure I was hearing correctly. And she 100% said that. Skittles with an M, spelt the other way. Uh, I just want to look back, make sure I didn't miss any messages. Yeah, okay, I don't think I did. Okay, I do know THC can look like candy in that form. Really? Wow. Um, oh yeah, I suppose they make that every which way now, don't they? Suckers and gummies and yeah, that's true. Yeah, I getcha. Could look like kids' vitamin exactly, Mama Angie, exactly, so, I mean, it just breaks my heart. What were these poor kids living like? What were they living with? And, I mean, so definitely that's on the table now, right? That they may have gotten into something, and, it's just allegedly, that is an obvious thing. If that stuff's in the house and there's kids, it's a given that kids may find it. It wouldn't be the first time and it wouldn't be the last time. So obviously that's something that's a possibility, right? On the table now. And we'll go over another possibility when we get into the stuff I'm going to go over. I use YouTube mostly, and I still have landline phone. Oh my god, I love you. You have a landline phone. I love it. Yeah, the good old landline. I love it. Um, and my grandmother was the same. Her generation would have been when the phone came out, and she didn't like that. She found that was interrupting her soaps and her Price is Right, and it was funny, and when she would answer the phone, like, when you call, she'd pick up the phone, and she'd just go, "Yeah," because you were bugging her, right? And she never said goodbye, so you'd say, "I'm coming over, Nan. blah, blah, blah. And then she go, yeah. And then you just hear the clunk, 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 clunk as she's trying to hang, making the note because those phones were heavy as she's trying to hang it up. Anyways, funny. Darewood is smart. It's not an actual threat by law, but it's sure as heck an a threat. Exactly, I agree. And it's I mean, I was on the show when he popped in there with Sunny. It's a crime and shame, and it's Sunny's show, so she's doing her thing, which I have no issue with. You have to allow people to speak, let the chips fall where they may, and it's a good thing to allow people to speak. But being from the area and kind of being up on who's who, and um, you know, um, yeah, there's some people that uh yeah, anyways, that's not an appropriate way to speak to a woman. And saying that, if a man's being uh treating a woman inappropriate, it's not up to you to get in the middle of that. And that's their, like, I mean, this is 2025. No, that's not proper education. No, no. And I mean, for me, that's again one of the reasons why I'm doing this, is because most of these things happen due to DV or some type of abuse going on. Typically, most often, there's addiction involved. And we have to be wiser and smarter and educate people better and raise our children better. And as men, teach our boys better. And I mean, no, to me, that's not proper thinking. But yeah, I detest technology. Ugh, yes, I hear you. Me too. I'll be right back. Grandson's calling, and yeah, family's always number one. Ah, Methany. Okay, well, let's use that. Do you mind if we use that for this chat? Our little family in here? We'll call it Methany. I like that. And plus, it just doesn't sound as ugh. uh, yes, I do, and prefer to use my home phone. My cell can sit dead battery for days. Yes, I hear you. Me too. Could care less. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. No, not at all. It's common. Okay, good. Well, we'll use that. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to that video. It's a little bit over 10 minutes, I think. I don't want to interrupt it in case people haven't heard it yet, so I'm going to keep my big mouth shut. And so yeah, so we'll listen to that. And then after that, we're going to go over some stuff regarding methany and regarding addiction. And then we're going to kind of compare to what we've already been noticing about Daniel. We've been chatting in here about it. Kim, or you and I, big time, that something's off with him, intellectual wise. The behavior panel picked up on it. I can't remember what his name is, the one that is an actual ex-police officer. He was thinking neurodivergent, but I didn't totally agree with that, but there was something definitely intellectually going on with him. And the lies and the manipulation we talked about, found him very manipulative, found him to be taking what other people say and making it his own. In regards, one example is Malaya saying she woke up and said to him, "Do you hear the kids?" And then he took that and made it his own. All of those things that we've been picking up on and discussing, which is fact. So we're talking about facts of what we're seeing in interviews. It's fact that came out of Daniel's mouth. what Daniel's saying in the chats, or through text. It's fact. It's coming out of his mouth. What he's not that what he's saying is fact. It's fact that Daniel said it, right? And so those are all facts, but we didn't quite, you know, put a, well, he's doing this because you can't do that, because we don't know why he's doing it. But now that we know that methany is involved, we can kind of look back now and go, when we were picking up on this and that and the other thing, now let's look at the symptoms of methany and addiction and go, okay, 1 + 1 = 2, right? Greg Hartley, yes, thank you. Yeah, Greg Hartley. And so, yeah, so we can kind of, connect the dots there now. So we'll go over that as well. And then there's also some new texts that come out that are floating around. We'll take a peek at those as well. So there's Daphne's case files. So we're going to, take a look at something she put out there as well. Okay, so let's go over to, I love the behavior panel well, but they didn't hear everything with Daniel. Exactly. And that's why I did my video, and I chose to do, I don't like doing somebody's whole video, but I was going to pick parts out of it. And then I thought, no, you know what? I'm going to do the whole video because they don't know what we know. So when you have the information that we know, which is facts based on all his other interviews, all his texts, all his group chats, when you have all that information that we have, and then you look at that whole thing and listen to what they say, because there was parts where they were saying, I don't know if he is lying there. I don't think he is. He doesn't seem to be a liar, but we actually know he is a liar. So I wanted to be able to point that out and go, well, yeah, he is a known liar. So if you knew that, what would they have said then? So I totally agree. Like, I know some people said, oh, they could have did better, but just don't think they had enough information. And they're trying to do it without all that information too, right? And Malaya's, I didn't think they did too bad on that. There was a couple of things I was kind of like, but I thought they did a better job on hers than Daniel's for sure. Okay, so let's go over to the video from Into the Fog. I love the name of that channel too. Hidden in the Fog. There is a channel called Into the Fog too. All right, you guys can see it.
The blanket taken back to Malaya, who basically identified and said, yes, that looks like it could be Lily's blanket. Oh, here she comes. Good. It's much better if somebody who was there actually. Welcome, Haley.
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, so just touching on the subject of the blanket. I've kept pretty quiet. I have a son of my own, right? Lily and Jack are my niece and nephew. But yeah, the subject of the blanket, it was found on a tree branch on Lansdowne Station Road in the evening of day 1. Okay. It was used, or the other part of the blanket was used for a window or a door at the home, and it was thrown out. And this one just ended up on a tree, I guess. But yeah.
Interesting. And so you guys, I understand one of you took a photograph of the blanket and took it back to Malaya for identification?
Yes, Hayden and I did. Yeah.
Okay. And then she said, yeah, it is. And so you called the police, who went and, I guess, collected it?
Yeah, no, the police were already down searching that area, but it was in such an open spot that cops were already down there and it wasn't seen earlier on. So it's just all a little mysterious, you know?
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So was search and rescue in that area?
I don't believe on day one right down there right away. So I was there from the get-go of when everything started.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I don't know how it was missed because it was right on like the start of like a logging road or ATV trail right by the main Lansdowne Station Road, the dirt road. But yeah.
Okay. All right. And the other half, right, was found in the garbage.
I believe so. I wasn't back at the house for that to know that, but that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's what Logan said. And yeah, so.
Which is really peculiar, right? Like, how, if the blanket was put in the garbage, how did it get out of the garbage and half of it get into a tree, right?
And I mean, quite a ways down the road, like down the paved road from where they lived, up a dirt road, a good at least mile or two. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a head scratcher for anybody, right?
Yeah.
Kat is asking, how are you and how is Malaya doing?
Things are, well, you know, everything's touch and go. The subject is very touchy for family. Malaya's trying to live somewhat of a normal life. She shouldn't be expected to sit in the house and be miserable. She can have a life too, right? We don't know what happened. I only know from what I was told. I obviously wasn't there when the kids went missing, but she deserves to not be ridiculed as well, right?
Yep.
So
yeah.
I'm not sticking up for anybody in the situation. I know as much as everybody else about what had happened with the children, right? So
yeah. I mean, it's a tragedy. And I think that what adds to it is the time that has gone on, right? That just simply adds to the stress. I mean, if the police would figure out or could figure out what happened, and you know, Lily and Jack could be found, it would give people a sense of at least everybody would know what happened, right?
Well, yeah, it's to the point where it's 2 months too long as family. Like we're hurting over this. Like it's a lot. And I mean, there's been a lot of things going around that's very much misinformation. Like people are just wild in the Facebook groups. I've stayed quiet.
Thank you, Haley. Thank you.
Like I'm in them, but I stay quiet because I have a son at home that I still need to keep life normal for him, right? But people are starting to figure out who I am, how I'm connected. So I figured, you know, I would give my peace of mind and what I know because people are starting to message and ask. But, you know, I do just want to touch on a subject, though.
Absolutely.
The family altercation that happened in the driveway. I was there for that. So there's a big piece that Logan has left out, and I'm ready to share that because we all know and have not said anything. But it's a very crucial point that they seem to be skipping over. So this was just before the briefing, if I can remember quite right here. We were all in the house and Dan was in the bathroom. And when I say we, I'm talking about my sister-in-law, her sister, Leia's mother, my partner. And we were all in the kitchen and we heard like things rustling around in the bathroom. We're like, what the hell? So my stepmom went and knocked on the door and was like, damn, what's going on? Are you all right? Anyway, my sister-in-law went in and said she needs to use the bathroom. So he came out and he's kind of like hovering.
Haley, sorry, Haley. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but just because my mind's sort of going crazy with trying to figure out and keep people straight. Who is your sister-in-law?
So Shelby, Cheryl, Cheryl said I was her sister-in-law. It's like confusing. But Shelby's with my brother. She's my sister-in-law, and Cheryl is Shelby's sister. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Just to get it straight as to who we're talking about so that people in chat sort of know. Anyway, go ahead.
So like he was wrestling some things around in the bathroom. And we went in to kind of investigate after him. And there was drugs. Drugs was involved, and that's what fueled the family altercation in the driveway. And I'll be the one to say that because I got so freaking mad after this was found out, because then I said to him, I said, that's exactly why you're acting the way you are, running around like a madman, acting like you're doing everything and everybody's just sitting back, like relaxing. Like nobody was, but nobody was running around like a chicken with their head cut off because we weren't on drugs. Do you know what I mean? But that's what the altercation was, because I was like, I confronted his family. It was actually me. And I said, what the hell, guys? Like, what's going on here? Like, why is that involved? My sister broke down and she admitted that he's been on it for 2 years or so. And yeah, so they all got very, very mad when that came about. And they all kind of said, you know what? We already knew that. Well, if you knew that, why the hell is there children in a home with somebody like that? Like, why aren't you protecting the kids that way? Like, do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the big piece that Logan and whoever else, this Darren guy that is related to Malea's side, I mean, he's just spewing a bunch of stuff that's not 100%.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
none of his stuff can be verified. So just remind me, when did this altercation break out? That was on the Saturday, right?
Yeah, that was just as Malaya was going down to the press conference. Yeah. So Malaya broke at the end of the driveway. She was crying, and I was like, like, what's going on? And she wouldn't talk. And I looked at her and I said, now's the time to talk. Like, get fucking talking. Like, what's going on? And she broke down, and that's what it came about, that he was doing that. So that fueled the family fight that there was. And I mean, yes, Dani or whatever her name was did go at Cheryl. Logan was trying to fight everybody in the driveway. They kicked us off the property because we found out something that nobody was supposed to find out, right?
Okay. So this was on the Saturday evening.
Yeah, just before Malaya had left. Malaya planned to, the baby was going to go with Logan. There was a lot of kind of give me the baby, I'm taking the baby. And then, oh, you can come too. And it was kind of like, Malaya, I spoke to her and I was like, why don't you go with your mom? She wasn't made to go with her mom. As her sister, I could see what was right and what was wrong in that moment. And they were trying to persuade her to stay with the baby. And I told her that she really needs to sit and think what's best for her and the baby at this time. And she ended up going with her mom, and that was willingly. It was nobody talking her in to go. I'm just like, you have a home, you'll be treated right, there'll be food, there'll be love. Like, you know what I mean?
So
I do gotta jump off. I have some things to do, but I'll catch you later if that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, Haley.
No problem.
Okay, so it was found in the tree branch on day 1. So day 1 would be May 2nd, the first day that the kids were reported missing. And she says, mentions that it wasn't seen yet, although the RCMP had been down that road. Me, honestly, that doesn't shock me too much, because, just thinking back to the case that we had here with the young girl that was abducted a few years ago, that stuff had happened as well until the searchers came in and did a really good search. And in fact, the road that they found, this young girl who did end up unalived, that's where their main search was. And they had searched and searched. They had the trail, everything set up there. They searched that area for I don't know how long. Like I think it might have been a couple of weeks even. It was a while, and they did not find her. Now, it was actually my brother-in-law that found her. He just had this feeling that she was on that road. So him and another officer, they decided they were going to go back up there and just do a very meticulous, slow search again on that road. And they did, and they slowly went up this road and noticed a mark on the side, and looked, down over this embankment, and there she was. Which, you would think, how could all those searchers miss that? But it happens, I guess. And if they hadn't have gone back up that day, she may have not been found at that point, maybe down the road. But and the search, everybody was gone at that time. The search, like it was, the same as Jack and Lily. It was done. Everything was packed up. Everybody was gone. But something in his gut told him she's there. And so though him and the other another fellow officer had went back and found her. So those things do happen. So just knowing, that whole case doesn't overly shock me that it wasn't seen, and especially on the very first day. It was a distance away. So, I guess the thoughts of it perhaps being caught in the wind and blowing, because I guess I was kind of thinking it might have been across the street, down a little bit, stuck in a tree, and that it if it was somehow out of the garbage, then maybe it did blow away and get caught in the tree. And then we have yeah, so it being a distance away, I mean, that's kind of, how would that get a distance away? Obviously, it didn't blow there in the wind. Um, and wasn't seen earlier on. We went over that. The ATV trail. So that kind of caught me. Kimmy, you're saying that as well. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Go figure, eh? And she's calling it she said that she thought it might have been an old logging road or something, I think she said. But I was wondering if it was the pipeline trail, because that's a trail, and they use that for no, actually it wouldn't be, because I know where that is, and she was saying it was, yeah, when she said where that was there, no, it wouldn't be that, because that's, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, ATV trail, go figure, right? Um yeah, Mark, wow. And imagine, and they had called that whole search off. All the searchers were gone. And I mean, if that search, I know they say this search was the biggest, that was pretty big too. Yeah, and they could not find her. Maybe too much traffic there, too many searches, I don't know. But when my brother-in-law went back, and this is fact, it was testified in court, and it was on TikTok and everything. You can hear him testify. Yeah, that he felt in his gut, and he discussed it with this fellow police officer. And I don't even know if they were on duty when they went back, but they found her. Yeah. And so the ATV trail, I kind of cringe, I have to say, when she says she has the right to live a life. Um, it just makes me cringe, because, and I don't know if she just worded that wrong or what, but it's like, these poor babies are still somewhere, and no answers. I just don't know. I don't know. Just, oh. So yeah, so she was saying about Darwood spewing stuff, and it's not 100%. Now, I don't know if that means there are some facts in there, or if she's kind of saying, because he keeps saying, and And that's 100%. And that's 100% if she's just kind of saying it's not 100%. Or, are there some facts in there? I'm sure there probably are some facts in there that she contacted some family members and was trying to get out of that relationship and get her kids out of there. I believe that's probably fact. I do think there's probably some facts in there, definitely. This family, obviously, from what we're hearing from it, from people and from what we can hear ourselves, even Darren describing Janie, they are definitely an aggressive family, pushy people, basically being pushy about the baby's going to be staying there. And, I honestly, I, yeah. And I talked about this before in one of my other videos, that sometimes in abusive relationships, it's not just your partner, it's the whole dang family that you're dealing with, right? It's kind of a family trait. And if you're fighting against it, you're the person on the out, and you get the whole family against you. Now, nearing the end, before she quickly ended that and said, I have to go, did anybody else notice that she was getting text messages? I heard the ding, ding, and then, unless it was Susan that was getting the texts, but I guess my assumption is that it was her, that maybe somebody was texting her possibly and saying, get off of there or be done with it. Because then she quickly said, I have to go, and ended it. Anybody else thoughts on that? I'm not shocked. I'm definitely not shocked. Just because of some things that I already knew that, I'm not going to put out on here, because to me, I'm not sure if it's 100% or if it's going to breach something. So it's stuff that you have to keep to yourself. I'm definitely not shocked. I'm saddened that, that it's been confirmed and is now out there. Now, of course, it's allegedly, because it's, her saying it. I don't have any reason to think that she would be lying. And yeah, and I want to say, don't anybody be afraid. So somebody's telling stuff like, yeah, you just keep babbling, or whatever it was that Darren said, or if anybody's being aggressive or making someone feel scared, afraid, don't be afraid. That's what my intro there is all about. Don't be afraid. Continue to speak out on Malaya's side and tell the truth. And don't feel threatened. Don't feel afraid. And honestly, a good spot to go if you want to speak and do it in the proper way is to contact Sunny on It's a Crime and Shame. She's, already in contact with some people, and or continue with Susan, but don't be afraid and speak your truth. I feel even more strongly now about the shirts, sweaters, yes, are with those kids, not in a good way. And I agree. Yeah, that they are with the kids, or that RCMP has them, but being that he had said that on Dolly about watch them find them with the kids, and like somebody did that to set him up. Yeah. Yes. They need to search that area again with cadaver dogs. So I agree. And I kind of wonder if they did search that area with the cadaver dogs, and we may not know that, because remember, they won't tell us everything. And I honestly just I question if they would let us know that. And the thing that's really bothering me is most of these, in quotations, air quotes, rumors that we all heard come from Facebook early on in this, um, they've come to light. Actually, I think all of it has. And one thing that was said that we've haven't heard come to light yet is that there was some undies found with red stuff on it. And that really bothers me because if everything else that we heard on Facebook that we can only assume are rumors, although we know there probably is some truth in there, did come to light. So it makes me wonder, is that true as well? If everything else has come to light, is that true as well? And it's probably something that we wouldn't know or will find out until, you know, justice takes place, hopefully. And if that is true, it would be evidence, right? Yes, I guess they could have. Yeah. I heard one guy say in Sonny's chat about Daniel being ruggy. Yeah, yeah. Like we've been hearing that one for a while, right? And and like I said, I had some information as well, but it was not information that I could 100% confirm as fact. And I had to watch putting it out there. And and that's why I was saying we never know what's going on behind closed doors. We don't know. We really don't know. And I just, oh my God, my heart breaks for those kids. Like to live with that, to be living with that, because the main goal is that money's going towards that. And I'm very curious, not curious, but in my head, I'm just wondering when they had gone into town and Justin, Daniel had met up with somebody. When he talked about that in his interview, because I went through his interview very thoroughly with the CBC, the long version, when he talks about that part, he licks his lips so much out of everything that he's talking about. That's one of the areas where you can tell he's very nervous. And throughout that whole interview, to me, he's trying to act like he's not lying, like he's trying to stay cool Joe, Joe cool. But there's times that he's not, and then he's catching himself. Like that's what I saw in that interview. He's licking his lips constantly. And there's, some other stuff. But when he's talking about that, because when you're talking about that part of it, you shouldn't be nervous. You shouldn't be licking your lips and showing nervousness. You're just talking about the fact that it's been confirmed we were with the kids on Thursday night. It was seen on camera, and I was talking to a friend. So to me, I'm thinking, was that when he was getting the rugs? And apparently there was, if Darren's correct about there was, an argument regarding money. Well, yeah, there would be, because I'd be upset too, right? If my man was spending the money we had on rugs instead of on food or whatever. So that there's, and I have it written down because I take notes. Like I have to take notes because of my short-term memory. And I have that written in my notes, that part of the interview. I have a question mark. Why is he so nervous there? There's nothing to be nervous about when you're just talking about it's confirmed. The kids were seen with us on Thursday, alive and well, and a friend saw them too. Now that we know this, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe that's when a deal went down, possibly. Just a thought. There's always a bit of truth. That's right. Truth with lies. Picking up the methany, maybe. Right on. My thought as well. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into now. Let's go over methany. and then the behavior of an addict. Just sharing screen, guys. All right, I'll make that a little bigger for you. So while I'm over reading this, I won't be able to see your messages, just let you know. But when I get back over, I'll read them, okay? Okay, methane addiction, signs, effects, and treatment. Methane or methane is a potent central nervous system stimulant. So, so there you go. We talked about it. Kimmer and I talked about it, and more so about, that there's something going on with Daniel there, intellectually and neurodivergent, they said on the behavior panel. So it affects the nervous system. Stimulant, it's a highly addictive drug, according to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Okay. So we don't have to go over what it is. So let's look at the short-term health effects and risks of methane use. Besides the euphoric high, I hope that's okay to say. I'm just going to read this without worrying about the words, except for the methane. I'll say methane. Methane is associated with other health effects and risks. It increases wakefulness, so hence the reason for running around, like a chicken with your head cut off. And I mean, you would be anyways when somebody, with a missing children, but probably even more so, but without really doing anything. You're probably just running in circles, wearing yourself out. It increases wakefulness and physical movement, but suppresses an individual's appetite. Other short-term effects of methane can negatively impact an individual's physical and mental health, which include rapid and irregular heartbeat, elevated blood pressure, increased rate of breathing, hyperthermia, a dangerously high body temperature, and convulsions can occur with methane. So keeping in mind also, guys, if this possibly took place with the babies, right? Which left untreated can be fatal. Methane overdose, taking too much methane in combination with other substances, or ingesting methane altered with other rugs like the big F, you guys know what I'm getting at, can increase the risk of toxicity and fatal overdose. Yeah. Additionally, during this, I'm not going to read the studies. Methane overdose without the presence of additional substances can lead to devastating cardiovascular events such as stroke, heart attack, as well as additional organ damage. Other signs of stimulant toxicity, like methane alone, include confusion, psychosis, seizures, the rapid heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, chest pain, circulatory collapse, death. Taking methane with other substances, well, we don't have to read that. The long-term effects. Cumulative brain changes resulting in confusion, memory loss, impaired verbal learning, reduced coordination, insomnia, changes in mood, violent behavior, which is a very common one, chronic anxiety, paranoia, hallucinations, extreme weight loss, severe heart problems, skin abscesses, which is another very common one, from damaged blood vessels, from injections or the picking, right? Severe dental problems such as gum disease or tooth decay. Additionally, individuals who inject methane are at an increased risk of contracting blood-borne diseases. Is methane addictive? Methane is extremely addictive. It increases the activity of several neurotransmitters, including dopamine, a brain chemical important to motivation and the reinforcement of rewarding behaviors. So that would explain the yard and probably other stuff, right? Because a brain chemical important to motivation. So sounds like you're not motivated to do stuff like keep your yard tidy. And the reinforcement of rewarding behaviors. Methane's quick release of significant amounts of dopamine in the brain's reward centers reinforces the taking of it. So it causes you to want more quickly. So it's not like you take it and, like if you have a puff of the MJ and you're good for a while, you want more of this quickly. Okay, so that's about all of that I wanted to read. And then we'll go over to the 5 most common. Welcome to everybody that is here. Thank you for being here. So we'll go over the 5 most common traits of addiction. Well, that guy looks creepy. The behavior of an addicted person is baffling, frustrating, frightening, and sad. The power of addictive substances is so strong that many people are overwhelmed by them. Their actions and words are dictated by their need for more drugs. So yeah, like I had just mentioned, right? The money, any money would be more focused on it needs to go to the drug. Those who know and love the addicted person probably can't understand why they are acting the way they are. So remember when Malaya, that's come right out of her own mouth, that I don't know why he's acting the way he's acting. And I mean, she's 27. How much education does a person have by that age about addiction? And that's why he's acting like that, right? Without realizing that drug use is behind the odd, erratic, abusive, or criminal behavior traits of an addict. The mystery often continues for years. There are only a few people who can be addicted to drugs or alcohol and continue to function at a job or in society, and that's called your functional addict. Almost no one can succeed equally in all areas of life. Well, Daniel worked a job where he would be laid off and actually just went into his layoff. So we can obviously during that period, the drug use is going to increase, right? The stress from addiction will show up somewhere And often that's behind closed doors. Well, didn't I haven't read this yet, but isn't that what I've been saying, right? We don't know. We don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. What we see out here, and you heard people saying, oh, Daniel's a nice guy. I asked my friend about what her son who went to school, no, he's a nice guy. But what's going on behind those closed doors, and because of the other stuff I was hearing, that's why I was saying that, because with addiction, that's what it's like. It's hidden. And it's all blended in with the abuse thing, and that's all hidden. Um, Thus, wives, children, siblings, and parents may see the worst of the person's behavior, while coworkers or friends may think, things are fine for quite a while longer. Darwood, Daniel's friend who was on Dolly's, who broke my heart, by the way, who's Darren's son, who kept saying, well, if Daniel did this, why would he do this? Like they're not seeing that side of him. and I mean, maybe Darren's son is one of Daniel's methany buddies. We don't know. I don't know, right? I know what I hear in the community, but I can't confirm anything as facts. When someone you love is dealing with addiction, the truth can be hard to face. You're not alone in having a hard time dealing with the personality and behavior changes of the one you love. Okay, let me read that again. When someone you love is dealing with addiction, the truth can be hard to face. Yeah. You're not alone in having a hard time dealing with the personality and behavior changes of the one you love. You're not alone. Yeah. The list of the most common behaviors below is provided to help you separate facts from fiction offered by the person with the addiction. Once you know what's going on, you can make much better decisions. And that's what I'm saying. And I mean, for me as a nurse, I know education is a huge tool for not just addiction, but in every aspect of healthcare. Education is a big tool. So, the most common behavior and personality traits of addicts. Addicted people lie. So, as I said, everything that we've discussed here on my channel in the chat, you're going to see here. And we've pointed these things out regarding Daniel. They must tell lies to mislead people about where they were when they were really out buying or using drugs or alcohol. They have to lie about where hundreds and thousands of dollars went. They will lie about where the rent money went or where the home's valuables have gone. The more they feel they need drugs, the more likely they will feel the need to lie. When you have trusted a person for years and then they begin lying to you, it's hard to set that trust aside. Family and good friends can be fooled by a skillful liar for years, and I would consider Daniel a skillful liar, although we're catching him because he's talking so much that we're catching him. But I mean, when you watch him in that CBC interview, he's pretty good. But because we know he's a liar, I could watch him in that and pick stuff out. But all this time, the person is slowly destroying herself or himself. And if a person's behavior changes markedly, and the explanations don't really add up, you have to trust your own common sense. If what you're being told doesn't make sense, then there's probably a very good reason you're being lied to. And that's how I feel about all of this right now. Okay? That's my thoughts about all of this. We're hearing a lot of lies. So if you're being told, if the person's here, if what you're being told doesn't make sense, and it doesn't, in my opinion, then there's probably a very good reason you're being lied to. Okay? So just put your thinking caps on, people, and think really hard about what we're being told right now. You might be able to check some of their stories. Most of the time, you probably can't. You will have no way of knowing if someone actually siphoned the gas out of the car, causing her to need $20 from you right now. They keep saying her, but we know that's her or him, but I'll just go with the her. Or if someone stole his rent money, meaning that, okay, now they're saying meaning that he needs an instant loan. The real tip-off is that these strange things keep happening to him. Gradually, his life descends into chaos that is camouflaged by these lies. And I would say that's where Daniel is right now. Yep. Okay. Because unfortunately, in my opinion, his addiction, has something to do with these children missing. Now, whether it's they get into the Skittles, or, as I stated in a previous video, that I think he just lost his crap. And now that it's confirmed, what I had, previously brought to my attention, but kept quiet on, then yeah, yes, absolutely. That's a possibility. So, 2, addicted people manipulate friends, family, coworkers, and others. In general, the family and close friends of a person with an addiction want them to thrive and be happy. These friends and family try to encourage good decisions, but the person with the addiction is on a destructive track. The allure of the drug is so powerful that the person feels they need drugs to function, to be able to get through another day, and to avoid getting desperately sick from the withdrawal. So they manipulate those who love them the most. Drugs like the big F, the big H, alcohol, and methane, the big C, and synthetics like, well, won't give the examples, can change a person. Someone loving and open with their family someone loving and open with their family changes into someone who manipulates everyone every day. So they will let her keep using the drug. Yeah. They just can't stand the behavior. And of course, those are called, oh my gosh, I hate when I have my brain farts. Sorry, guys, I have such bad brain fog. Anyways, we'll come back to that. With love in their hearts, family and close friends try to convince the addicted person to stop using these deadly substances and go to a rehab. But their answer, I have it under control. I can stop anytime I want. You were just jealous because I have fun and you don't. I've heard that before. You never want me to enjoy myself. You don't even try to understand how I feel. Does any of this sound familiar coming from Daniel? Remember that he could have gotten impaled and got hurt and hit by a stick, and we just don't understand what he went through. Nobody will ever know and understand what he went through while he was looking for these kids. You wouldn't say that if you loved me. And many, many more examples of this type. Perhaps the most awful type of manipulation occurs between a man and a wife, or other intimate partners. There's the word partners, guys. See, this is from the US. It's not just Canadians that say partners. When caught using drugs, the person with the addiction will promise anything so they can just be left alone. They may promise, I'll go to meetings, I'll start going to church again. Probably nobody around here would say that. I'll find another job and keep it this time. No more spending money on drugs or alcohol. I promise. The partner wants to believe the promises. And this is just the cycle, right? The cycle that just keeps going. Anyways, let's get to number 3. They are very likely to be engaged in criminal acts. So they themselves, of course, might start selling some to make some money because they need money. There may be a few addicted people who escape this behavior trait, but it is typical for an addicted person to engage in criminal acts. Eventually, their money runs out. They have pawned or sold everything of value. They owe friends and family money. They owe their drug dealer money. Their car is gone. There are no more assets, but drugs and alcohol still have to be obtained. An addicted person will shift the blame. Does that sound familiar? He has every single one of these traits, and we've already talked about all of them previously. So, like I've already said, I've already joked, it's everybody's fault but the kitchen sink and the mop with Daniel, right? It's her mother, it's her brother, it's her sister, it's a group of friends, it's the reserve, it's Malaya, it's, who isn't it? It's yeah. So an addicted person will shift the blame. Irresponsibly is the name of the game for an addict. This person may have lived their prior life as a highly responsible individual, but drug addiction steals that quality away. In that current viewpoint, whatever happens is never their fault, right? Never. If they get fired from a job, it's the boss's fault. The addicted person was unfairly targeted. If they get in a car accident, it is totally someone else's fault. Whenever they fail, it's someone else's fault. Family members will appeal to them to please care for the children and their spouse. Please get another job. Please stop using these drugs, and so on. And, even right down to it with Daniel, she never took care of the kids. He did it all. Who believes that Daniel's doing methany and them being a super dad? No. Maybe in his mind, maybe in his methany mind, but no. It's the same as his methany mind thinking he's doing a great job searching for these kids, but he's just running around in circles. Delusional, right? Because of the methany. Even if they want to, the addiction seems more powerful than the addicted person's own will. They will be drawn to their drug dealers, drug using friends, and environments. And that's why no, we won't even go there. Just put your thinking caps on, folks. They will be drawn to their drug dealers, drug using friends, and environments in which they can continue to use drugs. What really has to happen is that this person must be rehabilitated to the point that they are stronger and more powerful than the drugs and cravings. An addict is very likely to become abusive. So I had already mentioned that, right? And again, is there any of these that Daniel doesn't fit into? Right? No. Tragically, the behavior traits of an addict can take a violent and abusive form. So we know that Malaya had stated that she felt he was abusive towards the kids and she wanted out of there. She wanted to get the kids out of there. And not that I believe the whole Darren story. I don't even really pay attention to any of that because to me it's just nonsense. As far as I know I listen to it, like as far as listening to Sunny and that, like sometimes if it's just the same stuff I'll skip ahead, but um I'm saying I don't put it into anything that I'm factoring as far as looking at this case and trying to understand where these babies are and educate as to why these things happen, to encourage people to continue to have a voice. Don't be scared, speak up, even if someone's making little threats, big threats, whatever the case may be. Yeah, you get the point. Okay, so Tragically, the behavior traits of an addict can be violent and abusive, with the delusional thinking typical to most addicts. They may perceive those around them as threatening, dangerous, or malicious. And so, is that not exactly how he's described Malaya? As they shift the blame, uh, again, him to a T, they may physically, mentally, and emotionally attack those they are blaming. So, I mean, everything else here is 100% as to what we're seeing Daniel do. So just again, put your thinking caps on, right? 1 + 1 = 2. The spouse, partner, or parent of an addict very often bears the brunt of both the blame and the abuse. They may not be able to do anything right. Mental and emotional abuse may be directed at this family member to completely shut down any ability to effectively fight the real problem, the addiction. It's normal for spouses, partners, parents, and even grandparents to be browbeaten into submission, often for years. Grandparents suffer this fate when parents where was I? Grandparents suffer this fate when parents have given up on an addicted person. At that point, many addicted people appeal to grandparents for shelter and financial support, or other family members, not just the grandparents. Of course, physical violence is a very real possibility, especially towards spouse, children, elderly parents, grandparents. The signs of this abuse may be obvious and subtle. Unexplained bruising, cuts, and sprains. So we know that there was some concerns about Jack, things being seen on him. Repeated visits to the emergency room, a more fearful or withdrawn mood, making constant excuses for the addicted person's behavior, fear of being alone with the addicted person, unexplained changes to bank accounts, insurance, and other financial arrangements. And we know that Malaya had said about the Timu card, her card that was attached to it. Now, thankfully, there's no way to get money in that way. But it certainly seems like when you're an addict, you're going to try anything. You're just going to, even if it doesn't make sense, because they're not making sense of anything anyways. So I do believe he did that. And, or perhaps he's using her card to order a bunch of stuff just to peeve her off. Like, you don't know, right? Lack of money or bills going unpaid, valuable items missing from the person's home, evasiveness when asked about their own welfare. It doesn't matter what drug a person is addicted to, the need to get and use the drug becomes a compulsion. If it were not bigger and more powerful at this moment than his own will, they would not be addicted. Instead, they would stop using the drug exactly and begin to fix their own life. All right, so that's all of that we're going to read. So, thoughts on that, guys? Does any of that sound familiar? Did I just read a description of Daniel or what? And, and I mean, addiction, obviously, not a laughing matter, right? Not a laughing matter at all. And to anybody who is suffering from addiction, please reach out to those numbers. They're very easy to find, and seek help. Or for somebody who's living with someone who has an addiction or is in this cycle of addiction and abuse, reach out to whoever you have to. Look at those numbers, look up those numbers, and of course, in each area they're different, right? So I can't put all those numbers up there, but yeah, they'd be on the internet. They'd be very readily available. So I'm just going to go back and look at some comments. High up and down, high and up all night could explain the sleeping in. Yes, yep, falling back to sleep. Yep, just a thought. I agree wholeheartedly. Welcome, Eliza. June 18, 2025 in Westville, Pictou County. Recovered approximately 900 pills, very illicit. Prescription drugs, drug free. Yep. It's all the time here. It's all the time. You'll find that like at least a couple of times a week. And I mean, and that's just been probably the last, oh, I probably shouldn't give a time frame because my memory's not like it used to be. But, I mean, before they didn't have that special team of police officers that really covers this now and they're doing all these busts. But that's constant here. Oh, and actually, typically there's a crap load of guns with that too and sawed off. So, yeah, scary. Hi, y'all, from Otto, New York City, or sorry. But hi, Anne. Hi, Anne. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the chat. I know someone that uses painkillers to hold a lot of different kinds of them, and he has been in, yeah. And that's another thing that happens too with it, right? Because then you get caught up in that criminal stuff, and it's sad. It's really sad. And I wish my mind could go another way on this. I'm out of ways. I feel like I'm out of other paths to try to go down and go, well, maybe it was this, well, maybe this, and they're still alive. I'm out of other paths at this point. And unfortunately, I'm thinking that this is probably one of those cases where sadly something happened to these children due to addiction and rugs. I know a lot about rugs. Okay. I don't, unfortunately. It's not an area that I worked in as a nurse. Eliza, yes, all the characteristics of addiction, sadly, yeah, to a T. Like there is nothing missing there. Like that was like Daniel's personality. My nephew lies all the time and he's a bad person. Yeah, it's a shame. It's really a shame. And he's a bad person, no doubt, due to the rugs. What would he be like if that was never in his life? Like, you kind of wonder. It's so sad about that. My nephew has lied to us so much that we know that he is lied to us. Yeah, and you just don't trust that person anymore. You come to a point where you're like, yeah, whatever, right? In one ear, out the other. My nephew has been in and out of rehab, and every time he is in jail and he has been clean, when he gets out, he goes back to it. Yeah. Yep, sad, eh? Yep. I think maybe they did hear Lilly&Jack in the AM when they fell back asleep. The kids got into the rugs and woke up finding them. Yeah, it's a possibility. Yeah. I mean, I think we're down to two possibilities here now. Is that and like I told you, I don't factor in the whole story, of Darren's, so I don't even really factor that. To me, that's not a possibility. Yeah, so I think we're down to two possibilities. Is that, yeah, that's what took place, or due to the rugs, somebody may have completely lost their crap, because there is violence with all of this as well. I have seen this in my nephew and his daughter. Don't want anything to do with him. Yeah. Sad. And Kimberly, you may be right. Yep. Hi, Ginger. Welcome. Was addiction a reason for his divorce? Exactly. It's possible, right? I wondered that myself. As soon as that came out, that was the first thing. One of my first thoughts was, okay, is that what happened in the first marriage, right? My nephew's wife got tired of him, been on the rugs, so she left him, and she was on the rugs. Oh my. And too. And she quit on her own. Well, good for her. And sometimes that happens. Like sometimes it's said that you can't, as a couple, if you're both doing them, you can't be together anymore. If you want to get clean, if one chooses, I want to get clean, you have to leave that person. Yeah. Liza, my heart aches for Jack and Lily. Mine does too. I hear you. No child should ever have to live in that environment. I know. It's sad. It's really sad. One part of me is grateful the children in Malaya are out of there, just not under these circumstances. Yeah. Yeah. It breaks my heart when you hear that she was starting to look for help to get out of there, and that it seems like it just possibly didn't happen quick enough. And typically, this is when violence will increase in situations where there is violence and this cycle, right, of drugs and violence. So North Carolina, thank you. Thank you. Kimmer, what would I do without you? You're like my assistant, you know. I love you. Thank you. Clap, 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 clap. I will say hi from Ontario. Another Canadian. Hi, Ginger. Welcome. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the chat. I'm a volunteer for the Salvation Army's food bank here. Addictions are a very real problem for our community. Yeah. And that's the other thing, many people with addictions end up homeless. And, addiction is related to mental health, right? So many people that suffer from addictions, there's something else going on that they're not dealing with. So the whole situation is sad. Just so many lies, so much hearsay, talk from the family too. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Possibly the CPS visit was a wake-up call for Malaya. Yes, I bet it was. Yep. No problem, Nova. More than happy to help. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. When she left him, he tried to off himself. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's not uncommon either. That's not uncommon either. And that's not her fault, right? That's not her fault. You can't stay in a situation like that because somebody's gonna do that. You can notify others, notify other family members that I'm concerned that he may unalive himself, but I'm leaving this situation. But I want you to know so that you can check on him or call the doctor or whatever you have to do to help him. But I'm out of here, Yeah, escapism is linked to addiction. Yeah, definitely. So, do we want to go over? And there's a video here that Daphne's case files. Not sure if you guys heard that yet. So, this is some information that she gathered from some stuff that Janie had said on Facebook. Not sure if you guys seen that. So, we will play that, and I just to sum that all up with the Daniel and the addiction, and it just tells us a little bit more of what poor Lily and Jack, sorry, what they had to go through, right? And and it's sad. So, and that obviously it opens our eyes to the fact that there's a couple other scenarios of what could have took place here. Very sad. Okay, let's go over to Bethany. Or sorry, Daphne. I said Bethany. Daphne.
Hey guys, so I have an update from last night. I spoke to Janie myself on Facebook Messenger. It was her because I checked the profile, and I don't want to be too pushy or bother anybody, but I had some questions that I wanted to ask her as I am trying to figure out the timeline, and also if Durwood, aka Darren, was telling the truth. Now, I asked her if she believed, Janie, do you trust Darren or do you, so he could speak for her? Or is he making stuff up? And she replied earlier, I guess somebody had asked the same question, saying that she does. And then she says, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be on here. And then she says, he opened my eyes. So she is telling me that she does believe what he is saying and he is speaking for her. Now, the other question is, I asked her if she had sent Belinda the timeline, because I know Belinda was counting on the timeline of when Jack and Lily went missing. And she replied, she's the grandmother. Why not? You can see that in the bottom there. Now, I don't know if she has sent it or maybe is going to send it. I don't know. But she says, why not? I know Belinda did the live show. Belinda is the bio grandmother for Jack and Lily. Now, I know she did the live show on Sunny's YouTube channel a few days ago. And I know she was wanting to connect with Janie on the timeline. And I also want to say something else. Hold on. Now, I have another message from Janie. She is saying that she has not been able to see any of her grandchildren at all. At all. She even had her granddaughter's 9th birthday the other day and was not able to see her 9-year-old grandchild. Also, she hasn't seen any of them but one. So I'm thinking maybe Justin, her son, has a child. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But on Daniel's side, for Daniel's children, she hasn't been able to see Meadow. Never seen Meadow yet. Nope. And she hasn't seen Daniel's other children with his ex-girlfriend or ex-wife. So if she's not involved, that's very sad that she's not able to see her grandchildren. But I think, this timeline is very important. And if she is definitely backing up what Darren has said, then something is wrong there. Darren is saying that Janie heard Malaya out by the road with the kids at 6:18 when Malaya called the school. And then Daniel messaged me saying, no, it was at 8:38. Well, I thought you said that you guys were sleeping at 8:38. So see where I'm getting? It is so confusing that we're not able to get a straight answer. And right now I'm speaking to someone who has done a timeline, and we still have so many holes in the timeline because we're not getting straight answers, or it just doesn't make sense. So hopefully somebody will come forward and be honest and say where Lily and Jack is. It's all it takes is one adult to be brave and tell the authorities what actually happened. I want to thank you guys for watching, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my videos.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so I'll go through the couple of questions there too, guys, just in a sec. So you hear how she's talking about that timeline as well, like I was. It's bugging her too, because we can confirm the 6:15, right? We can confirm that because I believe Belinda, and Belinda said that Daniel told her that she went out, or that she called the kids in out of school around that time on Thursday and Friday, right? So she had to go out to the end of the driveway because Belinda said she herself had to go out to the end of the driveway, Belinda herself, to get the phone to work. So we do know that to me is the only time that is 100% confirmed that she was at the end of the driveway to use her phone to call the kids out of school. Now, any other time, it just seems to not really get a straight, factual answer. And I just have to question, was there really any other time? And the story keeps changing. It was the dog that woke the mother up. It was Daniel yelling that woke the mother up. In this supposed time later, like just none of it makes any sense. It just doesn't make sense. If what Darren says is true, wouldn't our CMP put an Amber alert out for the children? And so, and Darren would have you believing that, well, no, because Malaya has custody of those kids. They're her kids. There's really no kids missing. They're her kids. She has custody of them. Okay, well, then why would they put $150,000, the biggest reward ever offered in Canada for a missing children's case, right? If they, there was any inkling of the fact that they were somewhere living happily and Malaya knows where they are, and they're her kids and she has custody of them, well, I don't think they're going to put $150,000 reward out, right? And hence the reason why there's no Amber Alert either, because it's just not the case. It's just not the case. It's just not. In my opinion, like I just can't even pay attention to all of that. I just can't. And none of it is surrounded by any facts. There's no facts there. And then the facts that are trying to be pushed, to be believed are still not being backed up with anybody confirming that as fact. So, no. Why would Janie not have access to her grandchildren? That doesn't make sense in my opinion. I agree. It doesn't, except for the fact that for some reason, the authorities that are in place to protect children are, very desperately trying to protect these children. So again, guys, you have to, in this case, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 all equals what it should equal. There's just yeah, we just put your thinking caps on and yeah. I wish I could come up on panel and tell you a lot more about a person on rugs. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome to come up on panel if you want. I don't have an issue with that. I can share the link. I haven't done that yet, but I can figure out how to do it. Do you want to come up? Oh, look who's here. Sunny. Sunny. Yes, that's true, Nova. Yep. Hello, Nova and chat. Hi, Sunny. Lots of love. Lots of love to everyone and positive vibes. I hope you're having an awesome day. I don't know if you're at work or if you just got home from work, but I hope I started off telling everybody I hope they're having a great day. I understand the CPS. We do supervised access at the Salvation Army here. Okay, great. So you have some understanding of all of that, of all that as well. I really don't. The only thing that I can say that I have a little bit of knowledge on, just due to one of the areas I worked in my nursing career. This talk about the CPS being totally different on the reserve than the CPS. I've never had that understanding of it. I believe they work under the same, how can I put it? Under the same umbrella type thing, except that it's more due to, because of it being a cultural thing, that, if they were to be dealing with CPS here, that's not too far from where I live, that, there should be more of a cultural understanding. The same as, here, I don't know if they have it set up yet, but it was in the makings. It may be set up now, I'm not sure. But the reservation here, they were going to have like their own medical center on the reserve. So one of the nurses that I was speaking to was telling me about it, and that she was most likely going to be working there and whatnot. But it's not that anything would be really different. It's just that it is to help better understand their cultural needs, and there would probably be some processing of paperwork and stuff that would be different, because where it's native, there's a different way sometimes things are paid for or funded through the government or whatever, that it's more of that in that way, so that those things are being dealt with better. Not that it's like a completely whole different entity, and I guess that's the word I was looking for, entity. But anyways, that's was always my kind understanding of it. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe things have changed, because I've been out of the field for a while now, a few years. So, oh, no work today. Good. Day off. Those are always nice. You are right. It is a cultural thing, and about keeping the family together and their language and traditions. Exactly. I didn't think the CPS was up and running yet on the reserve, and it may not be. I know these are things that they're wanting to get in place, and that it's more surrounded. Yeah, like the cultural, or their cultural traditions, their language. Yeah, yeah. So that was always my understanding. Not that, like, sometimes I just find there's things that are said that are maybe a bit uneducated, and not that I'm not saying like somebody's not intelligent, just that sometimes when you just don't know, you don't know, right? So it's kind of uneducated thoughts on something. Um, okay. What is I don't think I have anything else there for you, guys. Let me go over my list and make sure we went over everything. So I want to say those videos were, the first one with Haley, Malaya's sister, is Hidden in the Fog, and I will put these in the description. So credit to Hidden in the Fog. And the other one is Daphne's Case Files. Oh, I wanted to go over some messages of Daniel's that were put out. So we will go over those after this. Some text messages. Yeah, the other one is Daphne's Case Files. And she's doing quite a bit on this as well. So, and she's the one who touched on the same thing I touched on with that whole 615 and time frame and all that. We just opened up a healing center in our area for the Mohawk band. Nice, really nice. Yeah. We really need to treat our Indigenous people much better here in Canada. They were the first people, you know, and I was quite surprised when I put my DNA in. I was always told, you know, that I had Indigenous ancestry, but, you know, you hear stuff you don't know. And it came back, and sure enough, and there was quite a percentage of it there. And, you know, it showed the whole path of my Indigenous ancestors. You know, it started off actually from, oh gosh, the Middle East, and then into Russia, and then from Russia to, um, oh goodness. Guys, I have such terrible brain fog. I'm so sorry. Where the Huskies come from. And then from there, and that's where you know, the Indigenous part of it would have started. And they were constantly ran, like, you know, they were, you know, um, chased out of there, you know, and then they came across the ice and came into Canada, and there was the first two groups of Indigenous people that came into Canada, and then that's where my ancestry started. So, you know, it's really interesting. And then from there, we all know, you know, what happened and how they were treated, right? Look at Daniel's eyes. You can see that he is on rugs. There's times, yeah, that the way he's looking and his eyes are very, like saucers. um, but yeah, for me, yeah, yeah. Um, and my God, I hope, I mean, those visitations, you know, there's, thank goodness, somebody there, but I still always go back to uh, Susan Powell, because those, you know, the CPS worker was there when that actually happened. Oh, so I can understand why Malaya would be very concerned about the baby being around him, and why she would have said CPS. I can understand that, because to her, that's the only connection to Daniel being around that baby. It's a crime and shame. If I set up a live in an hour, you want, yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I sure will. So let's quickly go over these texts then, and we'll wrap it up here just so I can have a little break before I go on with Sunny, because my throat needs a drink. Daniel's first few interviews are concerning, in my opinion. He seems better now. Well, yeah, he might be off them, you know, now because of the whole thing uh, of needing to see the baby, and because of all this happening. And we do know that Logan had said he's done everything that was asked of him. Anybody remember that? So, yeah, so that's probably one, and he would be tested. Now, one thing with this particular drug, it's short-lived. It's not like MJ, where that stays in your system for a while. So you could do that once, and they can still find that in your system down the road. You know, a ways down the road, where compared to this, he can do this, and if he's not going to see the baby until 2 weeks' time, that'll have some time to come out of his system. But according to him, he has periodic testing. If that's true, it's really hard to believe anything he says, unfortunately. Okay, so I'll get on it. You get on it, girl. All right, I'll see you later, Sonny. Okay, let's just take a quick look here at these messages. I will share the screen. It's not a lot of it. We'll just read through them, and then we're probably all going to end up over at to go visit Sunny. We'll all get in. We'll all call our Ubers, and then we'll head over to Sunny in our Ubers. I'll pay. I'll pay the Uber fee. Okay. I just want them to be okay. So this is some text messages between Daniel and another lady. I'm not going to say her name. I don't know if you guys can see that on there, but I just realized the names are on. Well, you know what? It's all public anyways. They're doing this in a public forum. But so this particular person says, I just want them to be alive. Everything else is speculation. And Daniel replies, the mother did not hide them. So Malaya did not hide them. The proposed theory is that the mother escorted them quietly to the vehicle. And we know this is Daniel because of all his exclamations. That is, if you ever want to know if it's really Daniel, look at tons of exclamations. Then the vehicle drove them to an unknown location where they remain in hiding. But yet, then you hear, no, they're not in hiding. They're just living a nice life. And anyways, investigators are still hard at work determining the exact location, the exact unknown location. And even though they know these are Malaya's children, she knows where they are and she put them in hiding. They're going to put out the biggest reward ever. And also, guys, remember, why would Malaya try to sway anyone to believe that she thought her kids might possibly be abducted and request an Amber Alert if she knows that she just put those kids in a car and now somebody's on the road driving with those kids and is probably going to see them and call in because an Amber Alert was put out. And an Amber Alert put out, and if the police are thinking, okay, they could have been abducted and we're going to put an Amber Alert out, they're going to have cop cars blocking everywhere and all along that highway. Do you think she would have asked and tried to push for the fact that I think they might be abducted? I want an Amber Alert. And then the police kind of talked her down off of that and said, well, no, there's no signs of that. We're going to focus on the woods. That just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense. It would have been so easy for her to just go, they're in the woods. They're in the woods. And apparently that's what she told Daniel's mother. They're in the woods. So now the cops are coming and she's going to say, I think they might have been abducted. None of it makes any sense. Yeah. So remember, this is Daniel talking. Investigators are still hard at work determining the exact unknown location. Yeah. This one's hard to see. So Daniel says they are loud kids. That's how I know someone they know or they knew from Malaya's side of the family took them. So do you see how nothing is actually facts? It's just, he knows this because they're loud kids. So somebody from the family must have took them. But that is not how you come to a fact. You can think those things in your head. I mean, you can think like, geez, maybe somebody from the family took them. They are loud and the family knows how to better handle them. But you don't put that out there as though it's like fact and come up with this elaborate story. Okay, so here we go again. The dog, and this is him saying this, the dog did bark, but very briefly. I'm guessing. So again, no fact. I'm guessing whoever took them may have said, shh, don't be loud. So he's guessing. Like, none of this is fact. He's guessing whoever took them must have went, shh, don't be loud. So now we're back to that the dog did bark. Because before it was Daniel we got Daniel yelling woke his mother. Now the dog did bark briefly. And so that story was already told before, but then it changed to, no, the dog didn't. What his mother heard was the kids and someone going, shh. So now it's not that the kids were heard, it's that we're back to the dog did bark briefly, and then someone went, shh. I'm sorry for laughing. So again, Daniel Martell. My mom was napping and came outside because she heard me yelling. So see, came outside because she heard me yelling that morning for the kids. Malay was playing on her phone. So this is actually from Sonny's. Mom came out and she said, Malaya, and playing on her phone, like, it's like he's got to make it sound worse than, not that there was anything wrong with being on her phone, because I mean, I'd be on my phone too, getting in contact with the police, my family, to come help, right? And Malaya's playing on her phone. Mom came out and said Malaya had a look of worry in her eyes, that Mom was home. No tears. She was scared the kids were gone. No tears. She wasn't scared the kids were gone. Just a look of worry. She got caught up in something wrong. Like, it's just foolish. Daniel, yes, even I don't know some things. So somebody's asking, so she went outside first and then told you she couldn't find the kids? Actually, that's Charmaine saying that, if I remember correctly. No, I ran through the house, searching every room, then ran outside in the back sliding door. I did everything so fast. She said they were gone. We were both outside. So this is Daniel again. And I meant to say these are a mixture of new and old, just to compare back and forth to the different things being said. And this is Justin had did this, and I found it interesting. They would always be in bed before 9 p.m., no matter what, but most time around 7. Yes, I do a lot of fishing. Somebody must have asked him about fishing. And so one thing about that, I know some people were saying the 7 p.m. is awful early, but you have to remember that he's saying they would always be in bed before 9 p.m. Now, I wonder what time they went to bed the night before, because there was no school the next day. But be on a school night and where it's dark here so early, usually like between 4:30 and 5 p.m. And some kids have to get the kids that go to school on the bus, they have to get up sometimes quite early. So I could see some kids do go to bed that early around here. But keeping in mind, they didn't have school for 2 nights. They were out of school due to a teacher's day and then being sick, and then, or wait, no, so Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. And then we went into Friday. And there's the 2 cuties. Yeah. They test hair samples here at the Children's Access Center. I don't know if they do the hair samples here. I know, like, one of my nurse friends, she used to, she's retired now, but one of the jobs she used to do was the testing, like, or collecting. So what they do is, it's a nurse, and the nurse goes around and she would collect the urine samples and then have to take them over to the hospital. And I don't think she ever did blood, that I remember her saying. It was always urine, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm not quite sure what all they do here, but I remember her only saying urine. I will be there. It's a crime shame. Yeah. Yep. I'll pay for your Uber. Ginger's laughing probably because I said I'm paying for the Uber. And if you do rugs, some of the rugs are in your system for years later. Yes, they are. I know that MJ stays in your system for more than a few weeks. Yeah, it does. It can up to 3 months. And the best way to tell if someone is on rugs is to do a blood test. Yes, more accurate. You're right. And then the hair as well is quite accurate. I have been around a lot of people on rugs, so I learn a lot about it that way. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah. Good for you, though, for educating yourself and taking the time to learn about it. Yeah, and the word I was looking for earlier was enabler when I was reading that stuff, and it was talking about how the family members can start making up excuses and just, giving them the money to just shut them up and get them out of their hair type thing. You become the enabler. Methane can mask other drugs when tested as well. Oh, interesting. All right, guys, let's call it a day because we're probably all going to head over to It's a Criming Shame. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, let's just continue to keep these guys in our thoughts. If you pray, keep them in your prayers. And I really, really wish there was a positive path here, but it's unfortunately not looking like that anymore. Yeah, so let's just hope that these children are recovered and people can have some closure, some answer, and some closure. Okay. So lots of love, guys. Lots of positive vibes. Don't leave until you see the little cutie pie. You have to see the cutie pie. All right, guys. Take care, and I'll see you again.